the matchup that nobody really wants to admit they're nervous about. But here we are. The Chicago Bears are getting ready to host the Dallas Cowboys in what's being billed as America's Game of the Week. And for once, the spotlight feels just a little too bright. After 2 weeks of erratic play, defensive letdowns, and offensive inconsistency, the Bears are somehow entering this game as 1.5-point favorites. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Bears who've been giving up points like it's a clearance sale are expected to beat the Cowboys. But hey, this is the NFL. Strange things happen every Sunday. The over-under line is sitting at 50.5 points, and honestly, that number keeps creeping upward for a reason. Jalen Johnson's injury is a huge loss for the Bears, and neither of these defenses has exactly looked elite out of the gate. Let's just say if you're into high-scoring shootouts, this one might be for you. Through the first 2 weeks, Dallas is putting up 30 points per game. That's good enough for top 5 in the league. They've been more balanced than people expected, and their run game has been quietly effective. But the problem? They're giving it all back, and then some. They've allowed 30.5 points per game, which ranks near the bottom of the NFL. Throw in a -1 turnover margin and the league's worst third-down defense, and you start to see the cracks. Yes, they're converting on third downs better than anyone, 52%, but they're giving it up just as easily on the other side of the ball. That's the kind of wild inconsistency that makes this team a mystery every single week. Now, if we swing it back to the Bears, the numbers aren't doing them any favors either. Middle of the pack offensively, 15th in scoring at 22.5 points per game. But defensively? Yikes. Let's be honest, it's been a disaster. 39.12 points allowed per game. That's not just bad, that's dead last in the league. And it's not just a late-game collapse kind of thing either. 6 points allowed in the first 3 quarters, 73 in the last 5 quarters of action. This defense isn't just leaking, it's flooding. Turnover margin? -2, tied for 25th. And honestly, it feels worse than that. 1 pick six, maybe one other takeaway, but the bottom line is simple. This defense hasn't made plays when it matters. They're forcing punts, sure, but not enough to keep up with the points they're giving up. Third down numbers tell a bit of a different story. Offensively, the Bears are converting at 40%, which ranks 19th. Not great, not terrible. But surprisingly, the defense has actually held strong on third down, only allowing a conversion rate of just under 32%. That's top tier. It's one of the few bright spots so far, and if they want any shot at stopping this Dallas offense, they've got to keep that trend going. But with Jalen Johnson now expected to head to short-term IR, and whispers that his season could be done altogether, things get complicated fast. Kyler Gordon is dealing with a hamstring issue. TJ Edwards is banged up. Grady Jarrett's clearly not 100%, and you can see it in his lack of explosion off the snap. It feels like the Bears are one more injury away from playing pickup football with whoever's left standing. Meanwhile, Dallas has their own injury concerns. Cooper Beebe is looking at 6 to 8 weeks out. He'll likely land on short-term IR if he hasn't already. Cavani Turpin, their electric return man, is dealing with a stinger, but it sounds like he's going to be okay. The bigger concern is their secondary. Darren Bland might miss another game, which means our old friend Reggie Stewart could be back on the field. Yeah, the same guy who flashed during Bears preseason last year. If that doesn't tell you where Dallas's depth is at right now, nothing will. But let's not ignore the elephant in the room, Matt Eberflus. This is a full-blown revenge game. He's back at Soldier Field, this time as the Cowboys' defensive coordinator, and you know he's looking to make a statement. Now, let's be fair. He hasn't exactly knocked it out of the park in his new role. Through 2 games, Dallas's defense has been a tale of 2 halves. First half against the Eagles, they looked lost. Second half, solid adjustments. But then the Giants and Russell Wilson both found ways to carve them up again. So far, it's been inconsistent. And if you're the Bears, you simply cannot let Eberflus come into your house and outcoach your entire staff. The fan base wouldn't recover from that. So yeah, it's personal this week. Every Bears fan is feeling it. Beat Flus. That's the mission. Now let's talk matchups. Coaching edge? It's too early to say. Ben Johnson versus Brian Schottenheimer is kind of a wash right now. Each guy's coached 2 games. We just don't have enough data yet. At quarterback, it's a different story. Right now, Dak Prescott is playing out of his mind. Top 5 quarterback through 2 weeks. Don't let the numbers fool you. The eye test tells the real story. Week 1, he threw for 188 yards, but CD Lamb dropped at least 80 yards worth of passes. Could have been a monster game. Dak has been accurate, smart, and in total control of the offense. On the other side, Caleb Williams has been a mixed bag, but he did take a step forward in Week 2. If you protect him, if you give him time, he can absolutely light it up. We saw glimpses of that. But let's be honest, from a consistency standpoint, from a pure experience standpoint, Dak is the clear advantage here. Skill positions? Believe it or not, this might be where Chicago has a slight edge. Not by much, but it's there. Dallas has the dynamic 1-2 punch of CD Lamb and George Pickens, but CD hasn't looked himself. Drops have been an issue, 4 or 5 in just 2 games. Pickens hasn't really popped yet either. Meanwhile, Rome Odunze has quickly become Caleb's go-to guy. DJ Moore has been solid. The depth is there. It just hasn't been fully unlocked yet. The tight ends and backs need to step up. He hasn't made much of a dent. Khalil Herbert's been quiet. You've got the numbers, but now it's time to turn them into production. If they don't, that advantage is going to swing. Offensive line? We're calling that one a push. On paper, Chicago's line should be better, especially with BB out for the Cowboys, but they haven't played like it. Advanced metrics have both units hovering around average. It's still too early to make a definitive call. Same goes for the defensive line. Without Micah Parsons, Dallas just doesn't have a juice. Chicago's D-line hasn't been great either. Week 1 showed some promise, but Week 2 was a mess. Neither team is stopping the run consistently, and neither is getting after the quarterback. So yeah, it's a push for now. At linebacker, slight edge to Chicago, even with TJ Edwards likely out. Kenneth Murray starts for Dallas, and he's been a liability. Jack Sanborn is doing his job. Tremaine Edmonds, even if you think he's overpaid, will be the best linebacker on either roster. And Noah Sewell's showing real promise, especially in run support. That gives the Bears the upper hand. Secondary? Another push. Fully healthy, Chicago might have the edge, but they're far from it. Jalen Johnson's out. Kyler Gordon might be too. And even the veterans haven't been great. Kevin Byard hasn't played to his potential. On the Dallas side, Kyrie Elam is struggling. 232 yards allowed in 2 weeks. Trayvon Diggs doesn't look fully back to form either. It's a patchwork secondary on both sides, so nobody really wins that battle. If the Bears want to come out of this game with a win, especially in front of their own fans, they need to start by protecting Caleb Williams at all costs. We saw the difference last week when he had time to operate. Against Detroit, the offensive line held up and Caleb delivered one of his most efficient performances so far, completing 18 of 25 passes for just under 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. His passing grade per Pro Football Focus was above 90, and what stood out wasn't just the big plays, but how clean and in rhythm he looked when everything around him didn't fall apart. That's the kind of growth you want to see in a young quarterback, progress within the structure of the offense. We already know he can improvise and create when things break down. But now we're starting to see signs of him making smart reads, trusting his receivers, and playing on time. That's where long-term development starts. Ben Johnson has been adamant that there's still a lot of work to do, and he's right. This is a 1-game sample, but the signs are encouraging. If the protection holds and the penalties don't kill drives, Caleb can compete with anyone, even Dak. Speaking of receivers, the next big priority has to be continuing to feed Rome Odunze. He's become the clear number 1 option in this offense, and there's no sense in hiding it anymore. The chemistry between him and Caleb is obvious. Through 2 weeks, he's racked up 13 catches, 165 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And those numbers could easily be even better. There are a couple of plays left on the field that he probably wants back. But even with that, he's been the most consistent weapon the Bears have, and against a banged-up and underperforming Dallas secondary, he should be featured heavily. If the Cowboys decide to play man coverage on him, and with Matt Eberflus calling the shots, you can bet there will be some zone looks mixed in. There will be openings. You just have to find them. Donovan Wilson hasn't been sharp in coverage. Trayvon Diggs is still shaking off the rust, and guys like Reggie Stewart are getting more snaps than they probably should. This is a unit that can be attacked, and Rome is the guy to do it. If he goes for over 100 yards and finds the end zone again, no one should be surprised. But here's the thing. It can't just be the Caleb and Rome show. That's too predictable. Eventually, good defenses adjust. The Bears need more from their backs and tight ends. Cole Kmet needs to be more involved. Khalil Herbert and Roscoe Johnson have to get going on the ground. Even DJ Moore, who's been fine but not explosive, has to remind people why he's considered a true number one on most rosters. If the Bears can't create balance, they'll be stuck in third and longs, and that's when things unravel. So yes, feature Rome, but spread the ball around. Keep Dallas guessing. Now, let's flip it to the defense. The message this week has to be, take some chances. No one's saying blitz every down or play zero coverage all game long. But if you just sit back and let Dak dissect you, it's going to be a long day. Dallas has too many weapons, and right now, the Bears don't have enough healthy bodies in the secondary to survive a conservative game plan. CeeDee Lamb, even if he hasn't been lights out, is still dangerous. George Pickens can pop off at any moment. And then you've got guys like Jake Ferguson who quietly rack up catches over the middle. You cannot give this offense time to operate. Dennis Allen, as defensive coordinator, may want to stick to his structure and discipline, but at some point you've got to throw in the unexpected. Blitz from depth. Disguise coverages. Create pressure situations. Force Dak into decisions before he wants to make them. Because if you just play bend but don't break, you'll break. This offense is too efficient when you let them settle into rhythm. It might be risky, but if it creates a turnover or two, it's worth it. Stopping the run has to be the other priority. The Cowboys have been surprisingly good on the ground. Their backs aren't household names, but they're getting it done. And unfortunately, that's exactly where the Bears have struggled most. In just 2 games, they've allowed over 200 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns to opposing backs. That's over 5 yards per carry. And it's not like these are elite backs we're talking about. Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders are good, but they're not world beaters. The run fits haven't been clean. The tackling hasn't been sharp. And if you let Dallas pick up 5 or 6 yards on first down every drive, you're playing right into their hands. You can't get exotic with your pressures on third down if you're constantly staring down second and short. So the defensive line has to be stout. Noah Sewell has to continue playing well in run support, especially with TJ Edwards likely out. The Cowboys will test them early. If the Bears get pushed around up front, this game will spiral quickly. And then there are the little things, the things that don't always show up in the box score, but often decide games like this. Pre-snap penalties have to be eliminated. Stuff like false starts coming out of halftime, unnecessary motion infractions, illegal formations. That's coaching. That's preparation. And those little 5-yard mistakes are drive killers. The Bears aren't good enough to overcome 2nd and 15 regularly. Not yet. So they got to clean that up. It also means winning on 3rd and short. You've got to convert. Ben Johnson needs to resist the urge to call a deep shot every time he gets to 3rd and 2. Move the chains. Control the tempo. Play smart, efficient football. This offense doesn't need to be flashy every snap. Sometimes, a 3-yard gain is the difference between momentum and a punt. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. And what could be one of the most shocking moves in recent NFL memory? The Chicago Bears have reportedly stunned the sports world with a blockbuster announcement. Josh Allen, the dynamic quarterback from the Buffalo Bills, is supposedly heading to Soldier Field. While no official confirmation has been released by either team, whispers from multiple sources around the league suggest that the Bears are preparing to rewrite their future with a move that could send shockwaves through the NFL. Allen, known for his cannon arm, mobility, and ability to take over games, has been the centerpiece of Buffalo's offense for several seasons. Rumors indicate that the Bears' front office has been quietly orchestrating a deal that would bring Allen to Chicago, a city hungry for a franchise quarterback since the departure of Mitchell Trubisky years ago. If true, This move could instantly elevate the Bears into serious contention, transforming a team that has struggled for consistency into a legitimate Super Bowl threat. The chatter started when insiders hinted at unusual front office activity in Chicago this week, including private meetings and scouting sessions that seemed unusually focused on quarterbacks. Fans on social media have been buzzing with speculation, and mock-ups of Bears jerseys bearing Allen's name have begun circulating online, fueling the frenzy. Analysts are already dissecting the potential impact of such a signing, noting that pairing Allen's arm talent with the Bears' talented receiving core could create one of the most explosive offenses in the league. Of course, the speculation raises countless questions. How will the Bears navigate salary cap implications? Which players could be part of a potential trade package? And perhaps most importantly, can Allen adapt to a new system after years in Buffalo? Despite the uncertainty, one thing is clear. If this rumor proves true, the NFL landscape will be forever altered. The city of Chicago, long desperate for quarterback stability, may finally have found its answer. Until official confirmation, the story remains tantalizingly speculative, but one thing is certain. Bears fans have never had a reason to be this excited in years. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.